I'm 74, and I missed too many dinners with my wife. I kept telling her I'd be home soon. Most nights, I wasn't.
There's a moment from 30 years ago I still can't sit with. It's the first time I realized
I used to think I had done everything right. That's the embarrassing part. I really believed that. Good job, stable income, nice house in a quiet neighborhood, a wife who didn't complain much, 2 kids who stayed out of trouble. From the outside, my life looked like one of those brochure pictures you see in a bank lobby. I wore suits that fit. I shook hands with confidence. I paid my bills on time. I told myself I was being responsible, providing, building something. I didn't think of myself as absent. I thought of myself as busy. There's a difference. Or at least, I convinced myself there was. People like to say, "You should have known better." I hear that a lot now. And maybe that's true. But back then, it didn't feel reckless. It felt necessary. Everyone I worked with stayed late. Everyone missed things. That's just how it was. That's what you did if you wanted to move up, if you wanted to be respected. I wasn't chasing yachts or fancy nonsense. I was chasing security. At least that's what I told myself. I kept thinking, this is temporary, just a few more years. Funny how a few more years turns into most of your life. There's one night that keeps replaying itself in my head. Our anniversary. I don't even remember which one. Maybe the 10th, maybe the 15th. That should tell you something. She cooked dinner. I could smell it when I walked in. Candles on the table. She had dressed up. I said I just needed to take one quick call. That call turned into 3. By the time I came back out, the food was cold. She was sitting there, staring at nothing. I laughed it off, told her we'd celebrate on the weekend. We never really did. My son used to wait up for me. I didn't know that at the time. I only found out years later. He'd sit on his bed with a book open, pretending to read, just so he could hear the front door. Most nights I came home after he was already asleep. I'd peek into his room, see him curled up under the blanket, and feel this small pinch in my chest. I told myself I'd make it up to him on the weekend. We'd throw a football, go get ice cream. Half the time I was too tired to follow through. I had a best friend named Mark. We used to talk about everything. Sports, work, our kids, dumb dreams we'd never act on. Then I started canceling plans. Just here and there at first, then more often. I missed his wedding, told him I had a deadline. He said he understood. He always said he understood. We stopped calling each other. I didn't notice when it happened. One day I realized I couldn't even remember the last time I'd heard his voice. I tell myself we just drifted apart. I know that's a lie. Not well, but honestly. Short stories, half-finished ideas. I told myself I'd get back to it someday, that it was just a phase, something young people did before real life started. I boxed up my notebooks and stuck them in the garage. They're probably still there, covered in dust. Sometimes I tell myself it wouldn't have gone anywhere anyway, that I wasn't that talented, that it was smarter to focus on a real career. That's what I say out loud. Quietly, I think I was just scared to find out who I actually was. The year everything tipped, my boss offered me a promotion. More money, bigger title, corner office. It came with one condition. I'd have to cancel a 2-week vacation we'd planned for months. A road trip with my wife and the kids. My daughter had circled the date on the calendar in red marker. I told my wife it was just bad timing, that this kind of opportunity didn't come twice. She didn't argue. That should have scared me more than it did. I shook my boss's hand the same day. My daughter had a school play that same week. I told her I'd try to make it. That's what I always said when I already knew I wouldn't. I stayed late at the office rehearsing a presentation. When I finally checked my phone, there were 3 missed calls from my wife. 1 voicemail. Her voice was flat, not angry. Worse than angry. "She kept looking for you in the audience," she said. That sentence still hits me harder than anything my boss ever said to me. That night, my daughter didn't come out of her room, didn't say goodnight, didn't ask me where I'd been. She just closed her door. I stood there in the hallway holding my jacket like an idiot. For the first time, I felt replaceable, like the role I thought I played in my own family had already been reassigned to something else. Work, silence, routine. I told myself she'd get over it. Kids always do. That lie has followed me for 30 years. After that, something in me shut down. Not in a dramatic way, more like a slow dimming. I stopped expecting things to feel different. I stopped noticing when my wife got quieter, when my son stopped asking me to help with homework, when weekends started feeling like recovery days instead of family days. I woke up, went to work, came home, watched TV, went to sleep, and told myself this was adulthood. This was what stability looked like. I told myself I was being strong, reliable, the guy everyone depended on. I said things like, "Someone has to be the adult here." I liked how that sounded. It made my absence feel noble instead of selfish. When my wife asked me to take a day off just to be home, I told her we couldn't afford it. That was another lie. We could afford it. I just couldn't afford to feel replaceable at work too. Mark invited me on our old annual fishing trip. Same lake, same cabin, same jokes. I told him I couldn't go. Too busy. Big project. He paused before saying, "Yeah." I figured. That pause said everything. We never planned another trip after that. I didn't even notice when our tradition died. It didn't feel like a loss at the time. It felt like efficiency. My wife stopped asking me where I was going, stopped waiting up for me, stopped leaving the porch light on. That part still hurts to admit. I told myself she was just tired, that this was what long marriages turned into. Quiet, efficient, polite. I didn't realize she was grieving me while I was still alive in the same house. I found one of my old notebooks in the garage around that time. The writing was terrible, but it was honest. I read a few pages and felt embarrassed. Not by the words, by the person who wrote them. He sounded alive, curious, hopeful. I put the notebook back in the box, closed the lid, and told myself that version of me was immature. One day I realized I couldn't remember the last real conversation I'd had with my wife. Not about bills, not about schedules, not about groceries. An actual conversation. I tried to remember one moment when I'd chosen her over work in the last 10 years. Nothing came up. My brain just went quiet. That scared me more than any argument ever did. I kept thinking about that school play, her looking for me in the audience, that empty seat. I started noticing empty seats everywhere after that. At dinner, at birthdays, at holidays. I wasn't physically missing anymore, but somehow I still wasn't really there.
Somewhere along the way, I got old. It didn't feel dramatic. No big birthday moment, no sudden collapse. Just one day I caught my reflection in a dark window at night and didn't recognize the man staring back. My hair was thin, my shoulders were rounded, my face looked tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. I remember thinking, when did this happen? And then thinking something worse. What exactly did I spend all those years becoming? The house got quieter, not peaceful quiet, empty quiet. My daughter moved out first, then my son. They hugged me at the door like you hug a polite uncle. I told myself that was normal, that kids grow up, that this was success. But when the door closed behind them, I stood in the hallway longer than I needed to. I kept expecting to hear footsteps. I never did. My wife and I still live in the same house. We sleep in the same bed. We eat dinner at the same table. And somehow we are not married anymore in the way that matters. We talk about groceries, doctor appointments, weather, nothing dangerous, nothing real. I tried once to bring up the past. She said, "It's too late for that now." She wasn't angry. That's the part that scares me. I went to one of my granddaughter's school events last year. I sat in the audience and counted the empty seats. I don't know why I did that. Old habits, I guess. When the lights dimmed, I felt my chest tighten the same way it did 30 years ago. Different girl, same room, same stage, same mistake echoing forward through time. Here's the part I don't like saying out loud. I liked being important at work more than I liked being present at home. I liked the praise, the respect, the way people listened when I spoke. At home, I was just a guy who left his socks on the floor. So I stayed where I felt larger. I told myself it was for my family. That's the story I still catch myself telling. It wasn't the truth, not the whole truth. Nobody tells you that life doesn't steal your time all at once. It takes it 5 minutes at a time. One missed dinner, one late night, one "I'll do it tomorrow." And then one day you realize tomorrow stopped showing up. I used to think I was building a life. Turns out I was postponing one. If you're watching this and thinking, "This won't be me," that's exactly what I thought. If you keep telling yourself you'll slow down later, that later is already moving away from you. Your kid won't wait forever. Your partner won't either. They stop asking before they stop loving you. That's the warning sign nobody teaches you how to see. I still try. That's the quiet part nobody claps for. I show up now. I call my kids. I listen more than I talk. Sometimes my wife lets me hold her hand. Sometimes she doesn't. I don't push anymore. I just stay. It's not redemption. It's responsibility. There's a difference. If you take anything from my life, take this. Your job will not sit at your bedside when you're old. Your inbox will not remember your birthday. Your boss will replace you in a week. Your kids will remember the empty seats forever. So don't wait until you're 74 to notice who you're trading your life for. If you still have time, use it differently than I did. Go home earlier tonight. Miss one email. Be late to one meeting. Sit at the table longer. Listen to a story you've already heard. That's where your real life is hiding.